going on, guys? We got a lot of stuff done with the Z last time. Quick recap of that. We got the whole front bumper off. We got our headlights out. We got our hood off. Front bash bar came off. We got this front cover piece off, and then we disconnected the entire radiator and the fans, which is going to give us full access to the front timing cover and kind of let us get into the engine bay a little bit further. So that's kind of what we covered in the last video. And today what we're just going to do should not be very long. We're going to probably take off that the wiring harness, maybe get into the fuel rails if I really feel like it, and if we're feeling extra spicy today, maybe we'll get into that front timing. First is the wiring harness. I found it was easiest to start on the driver's side and work your way around to the front of the engine all the way back to the passenger side. There are a couple plugs that go towards the bottom of the engine, so make sure you don't miss those, because if you pull too hard, you can break a wire. There's also a 10mm bolt right on the front of the engine that's holding a ground. You'll need to disconnect that to fully disconnect the wiring harness. So, to get the wiring harness out, you'll need a 10mm socket, a set of pliers, a flathead screwdriver, and a ply tool if you have one. Not necessary, but makes the job a lot easier. Alright guys, so we got the wiring harness out. Pretty straightforward. I work from the driver's side and just slowly work your way around. There's a lot of little plugs all over the place. Some of them are kind of hard to reach. Basically everything I used for this was just a little ply tool, flathead, pair of pliers, and you're going to need a 10mm for a ground that's sitting right about in the middle of the engine, right about here. So, if you're doing this, just work slowly. There's a couple plugs that are down below the engine down there, so make sure you get those. Don't pull. If you hit a point where you think you got it and you pull and it's not really given, check all the lines. Just follow all the lines and make sure you're not missing a plug, because a lot of times there's a little one that's just hiding somewhere, and if you rip that, then you're gonna either have to rewire it, or if you don't know how to do that, find somebody that does, or just buy a new one, which would suck because these are expensive. So we're doing pretty good. So I think next I'm gonna pull the whole fuel system, and we'll go from there. Up next is the fuel rails. To get the fuel rails out of the engine, you're going to have to remove a couple of bolts. Other than that, it is held in by a couple tubes that are towards the back of the engine. Once you have those removed, the whole fuel rail just comes right out of the So fuel rails are out. Pretty simple. What really took most of the time there is once I had this moved, I could actually get back to the back of the engine where I could get some of the wiring harness that was back there. So that's kind of what I spent time on. But now that this is off, we basically can just start pulling a couple tubes. We can get the coil packs out, get the spark plugs out, and then probably work on the timing cover. There's a lot that goes into the timing cover, so we'll probably work on that next. Up next, we're removing the coil packs. Each coil pack has a 10mm bolt that's holding it in. Remove the 10mm bolt and the coil pack pops right out. Alright, I'm back. We got our first bleed of the project so far. Just a little knuckle slice. I don't really know where it came from, but I was bleeding when my hand came out, so that's alright. Oh crap, I think I just wiped it on the floor. Alright, we're good. We're good. We got all the coil packs out. We removed a good amount of tubing that is right around the engine bay. We could move to the timing cover next, but quite honestly, I think I might just leave that. I think what I'm actually going to pull next is this manifold right here. I'll show it to you. We're going to pull this piece right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 8 bolts. After that, it comes right out. It's got a gasket underneath it. And then from there, we're in pretty good shape. Once we pull the timing cover, we can actually just pull the heads off, and it will we'll be rocking, to be honest. We are pretty far along this engine teardown right now, which is great. Once we do that, probably be done for a little bit. Maybe come back out later, try and get more stuff done. But I have to wash up. I got other things I got to do in the day. So let's get that off, and then I'll do a recap of everything we've done today, kind of what things to look for when you're doing it, and probably what we're going to do next. Alright? This lower intake piece is really easy. It's just 8 bolts, and the whole piece pops right out. Alright, so we got the piece out. Pretty straightforward. I mean, it's just a couple of bolts. Alright guys, so this is what we got taken apart today. We got our wiring harness all out of the car. It's fully disconnected except for in the very back, which I will get to once we actually pull the motor. And then after we did that, we pulled our fuel rails, right? Fuel rails, little baby injectors. After that, we took out our spark plugs and our coil packs. After that, we disconnected some tubes that were in the engine bay. Pretty easy stuff, you know. Just need a set of pliers, get those clamps off. They come out pretty easy. And then we finished up with getting off this intake piece. Again, this was just a couple of bolts. Pretty easy to do. Relatively quick day today. We were able to get most of our stuff done that we wanted to get done in a pretty quick time. Next time, we'll take on that timing cover. It's a bit of a doozy. It should be a lot easier now that the whole front of the car is gone. The last time I did it, I still had the whole front of the car on, and it makes it a lot harder to get to all those bolts. So we'll tackle the timing cover next.